A rainy, gray day here in central Pennsylvania. One day after the historic meeting between President Donald Trump and President Cyril Ramaphosa at the Oval Office in Washington. I think the gray skies, the clouds, and the rain are a great metaphor for the relationship and what happened yesterday. Now, South African media is fraudulently claiming it was an ambush. It wasn't an ambush. Trump graciously greeted Ramaphosa and gave him a far warmer welcome than he deserved. And then what happened? Well, then what happened after Trump gave him a gracious, warm welcome was Ramaphosa played the role of the bad guest. You see, you're a guest in the Oval Office. Your host is the one who's being asked a question. When asked a question by a reporter related to the so-called genocide, Ramaphosa says, no, I'll answer this. Wow. Talk about bad form and disrespect to your host. You interrupt your host as he's about to answer, the President of the United States, the most powerful political figure in the world. You just interrupt him and say, I'll answer the question. Okay, go ahead. Trump says, go ahead. So, Ramaphosa sits there. Trump hands him the spade, or shovel as we say in English, in America, hands him the shovel and lets him dig his own grave. And that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. So, at Postmortem on this, folks, if things could have gone bad, 10 being the worst, this wasn't a 10 because Donald Trump did Cyril Ramaphosa a massive favor by not embarrassing him on the spot. Trump could have played videos of Ramaphosa being belligerent, doing things like at the State of the Nation address in February this year saying, we will not be bullied. Clear threat to the President of the United States, saying that, U.S. is interfering in South African affairs when it's not. Could have played videos of him running around the world screaming, vaccine apartheid, lying about COVID and lying about the jabs that he and his pharmaceutical industry refused to participate in the trials for, claiming that black people being abused when almost every sucker that took the jab during the experimental phase was a white American or Brit. So, didn't play those videos. Also didn't play the video of Ramaphosa playing to the crowd, I don't know what Donald Trump knows about America. He can keep his America, we'll keep our South Africa. He could have embarrassed him right there on the spot and shown what a two-faced person he is, but he didn't. So he saved him that embarrassment. But that video actually gave him another break. The only thing they played was Malema and Zuma, neither of whom are in the ANC anymore, and it gave them a convenient out, which is what John Steenhuisen tried to take in his pathetic response. You see, we joined this government so that we could keep the radicals like that out. Okay, but what about Bella, NHI, the 3% black tax, expropriation, not compensation, all now becoming the law of the land, or already are the law of the land in South Africa, all during your participation in the government of national unity. So how exactly did you keep the radicals, or at least the radicals' ideas, out, John? Yeah, you didn't really do that, did you? Didn't really do that. So, this didn't go well for South Africa. South African media is going to paint this any way they want, but the reality here is that South Africa committed a serious major own goal here. They tried to bribe Trump, and this is the most disgusting and vile part of the whole thing. So, first off, I need to complain to the South African Competition Tribunal, wherever they're called there, because this delegation was not broad-based black economic empowerment compliant. It wasn't. There were too many whiteys. Notice the president of South Africa. Have you met my white agricultural minister? Wow. Could you imagine Trump saying, hey, have you met my black secretary of such and such? Can you imagine that? Talk about stupidity and own goals. Have you met my white agricultural minister? Wow. I brought my token whitey with me, but actually I brought some of your whitey friends too, just so we can hoodwink you. Here's your whitey friends. They're golfers. Do you like them? And Johan Rupert. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That should have been the headline in South Africa. Ramaphosa's bigotry and racist approach to try to bribe Trump should have been the headline, but no. Trump ambushed Ramaphosa. No. Ramaphosa dug his own grave. He dug his own grave. It's like the seven dwarves running around there, digging his own grave, man. It was hilarious. Well, it wasn't. It was sad is actually what it was. Wow. People are concerned. Will the refugee program end? I think the refugee program may get accelerated at this point. Of course, we'll never know. What we don't know is what happened behind closed doors. In front of the cameras, Donald Trump showed you things that the media rubbished because they're stupid morons that don't know how to understand how the world works. Oh, those were discredited press reports and pictures of the DRC and this and the other. You missed the point entirely. That woman that was beaten on the front post photo we saw was not from the DRC. That just happened in South Africa while I was there. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that, do you really think that Trump is going to bring out classified information, throw it in front of the cameras for you idiots to take pictures of? No. What was showed there was publicly available. And now News 24's Kyle Cowan, we all know who Kyle Cowan is. He's the man who commits serial violations of the Poppy Act, who should be going to jail for his criminal activity at Cockprot 24. But Kyle Cowan runs another story today. His useless editors, Adrian Basson and the others at Cockprot 24, run another story. And what are they focused on? Not on the failures of the South African delegation. What they're focused on, ladies and gentlemen, is not Cockprot 24's failure. What Cockprot 24 is focused on is Twatterboss. They're still dementedly after Twatterboss. After violating the Poppy Act and doxing this man, committing criminal acts, they're still going after Twatterboss. Well, the video that they showed was posted by Twatterboss. But they're not refuting the fact that this was a demonstration against the thousands of farmers and farm family members murdered on farms in the aftermath of Brendan Horner. His torture and murder. No refutation of that. Also, not a single successful refutation of anything that Trump mentioned publicly. But what happened behind closed doors, that's when you talk about. What happened behind closed doors is no doubt the Trump administration had all their information ready and they nailed South Africa. Watching in a disheveled, uncomfortable Cyril Ramaphosa try to tell jokes at his pathetic press conference where the likes of Annika gets up and licks his scrotum. Mr. President, after that one, I think you need a stiff drink. Really? Could you get off your knees now, please, and be a reporter? How about being a reporter? Good Lord. What a pathetic show and display. That's just sad. Sad. That passes for journalism in South Africa? No wonder everybody's unsubscribing from all their publications and stop watching all their programs. It's pathetic. Not to mention the slander and the lies, the libel that goes on with those sites. Anyway. Wow. So your postmortem is things went very badly for South Africa, but not as badly as they could have gone in front of the cameras. Behind the cameras, we don't know. I suspect behind the cameras, there was a serious PK. And Cyril and his crew got moored. I will say the following, though. Johan Rupert doesn't like South Africa. He doesn't like South Africans. He betrayed them immensely, lying. And then he attacks John Steenhuisen. What the hell was that all about? He attacked John Steenhuisen. Yeah, John Steenhuisen runs Western Cape. No, he doesn't. He doesn't run the Western Cape. No, that's not him. That's Alan Winde. Alan Winde runs Western Cape. John Steenhuisen is Minister of Agriculture and leader of that party. So let's get it right. And he chose to pull out, Kailicha. What does that have to do with farms? And what does that have to do with racial discrimination? Not a damn thing. Johan Rupert betrayed South Africans. Plain and simple. Retief Glussen was honest, but on the fence, trying not to get himself into a bad position because he still has family living on farms. Ernie Els is a South African hero. Ernie Els spoke up for you, South Africa, for the average South African, black, white, and brown, who are suffering because of this corrupt, communist-inspired government. Ernie Els is a hero, and you should thank him for what he did yesterday in front of the cameras. Well, guys, that's my postmortem. Things went badly, but not as bad as it could have gone. Still, it's an unmitigated disaster. And what did you expect? Cyril has no humility. You notice. He says, so what will it take? Well, it will take the president to listen. The President Trump must listen to South Africans, ordinary South Africans, like his friends here, the billionaires and sports icons. Trump must listen. You must listen. You're not listening. Clean your ears out, Cyril. ANC, National Executive Committee, you're not listening. It's not about farmers. It's not about Israel. It is not about rare earth elements. It's about your racial discrimination. You were as vile and repugnant as the National Party was. Stop your bigotry and racism and your racist laws, and the problem goes away. You want investment in South Africa? Stop forcing people to give up their equity to people based on their skin color. You want investment in South Africa? Stop discriminating against people because of their skin color. Done and dusted. Finished and clear. Simple. But no, they're not going to get that. They're not going to get it. What say you, South Africa? What say you, world? Cheers.